course, all the sessions in this room are going to be on a webcast, which you will find out next week when they're actually published. And the meetup room is the Murray Hill room. And please follow us on Twitter at New York IIBN and at IIBN using the hashtag NYOPP14. And if you haven't already done so, please download the Bizzaboo app. And you can follow us there, events.bizzaboo.com/opportunity. And the survey, the link there, please follow us there and give us some feedback. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the chairman and president of IIBN New York, Sean Gaffey.
Thank you, Deirdre. And thank you, everybody here. Delighted to be here this morning. It's been loads of work putting this conference together. But before we get started, I wanted to recognize Minister Jimmy Denahan, Consul General Barbara Jones, Deputy Consul General Anna McGillicuddy, and Special Representative Drew O'Brien, and to all the 300 plus delegates that will be in and out of this room today. I want to welcome you, finally, to this conference, the Opportunity Conference, the 4th Annual IIBN Global Conference. Today I'm here to talk to you guys about the power of global networks. We have a truly special program planned, but before we get started, I want to go into get into just the folks that put this together. And if I don't thank these folks that have put everything that you see around here today together, I'd be missing the mark. So first it starts with our planning committee. These folks have put in countless time, countless hours in doing everything that you see around here, and I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with all of these folks that have put this conference together. I also want to take an opportunity to thank our volunteers. They're around here at every corner of this conference. They're here to help you out with anything that you may need, as well as our main sponsors. And when we talk about our sponsors in terms of the IIBN, we talk about them as partners, as true partners of the organization. And these folks, Grant Thornton, Bank of Ireland, and Matheson, have been true partners in putting this conference together, and I want to thank them. And certainly last but not least, I want to thank our platinum sponsors, our community partners, and our media partners. All of them have done a tremendous amount of work to put this together. Image Now, one of our platinum sponsors out of Dublin, Ireland, has done this design with my beautiful wife, Allison Gaffey, who, if you notice, was on the planning committee. She told me if I didn't mention her, I wouldn't be let in tonight. So I do have to mention that. But most important here on this slide is the community partners. And this is something else at the IIBN we're very proud of with this conference. When you look at these other organizations that stood side by side with us and recognize the importance of doing this conference and coming together, it's extremely, extremely overdue, I think is a great way to put it. And it's about time that we finally have come together as a community to put on this conference. Also, our media partners, the Irish Independent, Irish Central, Stephen Smith, Ashton Keogh. They've done a tremendous amount of work. Please give all of these folks a round of applause. Thank you, thank you. So when I look around the room, and when I walk around the halls here this morning, what I see is a group of Irish entrepreneurs. And at the IIBN, the Irish International Business Network, we pride ourselves in fostering Irish entrepreneurs globally. And having a true network to do that is extremely important. We have a chapter in London where we were founded, an All-Ireland chapter that includes our friends from the north. And then here, obviously, in New York, and we're looking to expand throughout the United States and, quite frankly, around the world. We hope to be in places like Singapore, Dubai, and one of our co-chairs will talk about this later on in the day. But what I mostly see is people who believe in the message that we need to come together and unite, and by coming together and working closer together, that it creates tremendous opportunities. But, when we talk about the global Irish network, it's really what we're talking about is the Irish diaspora. And that word diaspora was mentioned last night. Stephen Smith, for all of you who were at the reception, he talked a little bit about the diaspora, where it's 5 or 6 million people over in Ireland, but the diaspora is roughly 70 million people globally in the Irish diaspora. That's a tremendous number. right? But that word diaspora, I don't know if any of you have seen our good friend Kingsley Akins in his TED Talk. He talks a great deal about diaspora. And if you haven't seen his TED Talk, please go ahead and watch it. It's tremendous. And he's an expert at this topic. But like Kingsley, when I first heard this word, I had no idea what it meant. I would go to these American Ireland Fund events, and our friend Kieran McLaughlin would get up there and talk about the Irish diaspora, and all I know is I didn't want it. It's like, how do you get it? It's like, keep these Irish people away, So I think I showed up in one event in a hazmat suit, but that's a whole other story altogether. But, now I'm fascinated by the topic, and I can't stop, talking about it. When you think about where we are from a global economy, the power of diasporas has the power to dislocate governments all around the world. So every government is looking at it, and I commend the Irish government for taking the step to name a Minister of Diaspora Affairs, and Jamie Dinahan, who spoke last night at our event and launched the Irish Executive Mentoring Program, which we'll talk about in a second. But it's a tremendous force. And when you look at the amount of migrants that are just around the world today, it's around 250 million people that live outside of the country that they were born in. 1994, that number was 154 million. If you put all the migrants together in one country, it'd be larger than the size of Brazil, okay? Larger than Russia. Okay, so that's a tremendous amount of people that are moving outside of the country of origin. So every government's looking at the diasporas and what they can do with their diaspora population. And we have the benefit of having a tremendous diaspora, a tremendous network of people. But it's untapped. As Kingsley references, this diaspora capital, we haven't tapped into it. We haven't really realized the power of this animal that is the diaspora. And it really, truly is a living, breathing animal around the world, a breathing network. But when I think about the diaspora, when I think about the Irish diaspora, I think about it in the terms of an entrepreneur. Okay, really, what is the diaspora? It's 70 million people. It's people that have, like myself, my family had to leave Ireland for one reason or another. They're entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurial spirit is ingrained in the Irish spirit. It's ingrained in the Irish culture. We had to, right? We had to create something out of nothing, more often than not. So through that hardship that has caused a diaspora, it's caused a great entrepreneurial spirit. And as I referenced before, the diaspora is an animal, okay? And the heart of that animal is clearly Ireland. And the flows of the diaspora don't only go out, they come back in. And these stats behind me show that. The amount of economic activity in today's Ireland is tremendous. Ireland is routinely the gateway to Europe. The EU is the United States' largest trading partner by a large amount, and if we get TTIP right, we're going to increase that activity. But we can do more. And like any living, breathing thing, we have to exercise. We have to do things to really make sure that the heart is strong, that Ireland's strong. We need to give it things to do and exercise the diaspora. So that leads me to the Irish Executive Mentoring Program. Using modern-day technology, modern-day funding vehicles, we can harness the capital that's within the diaspora like never before. We can connect now like never before. The things that are connecting people today weren't available 10 years ago, 5 years ago, but they are now. Right? So the Irish Executive Mentoring Program, I want to play a little bit of a video that will walk you through it. But this was launched a couple years ago by President Higgins. It is a great program, and it is open to the entire community. It's a community program, just like this conference OpportUnity. It's open to all networks, all organizations, philanthropic, cultural, business networks, to go into the Irish Executive Mentoring Program. And I'll walk you through it now with this short video.
The Irish Executive Mentoring Program was launched by President Michael D. Higgins in 2012. The purpose of the program was to foster engagement and promote development of new executive and entrepreneurial talent in the Irish diaspora. Almost all highly accomplished people point to advice and mentorship they received as a key contributor to their success. To help cultivate these relationships, we recruit, screen, and engage a network of top professionals and business leaders from the world's most progressive companies. With our three-step approach of match, connect, and achieve, we pair our mentors with our protégés using high-end software for ultimate compatibility and maximum effect. Our members express high levels of satisfaction with their mentor match. They indicate that they are making significant progress against their goals and are highly likely to refer colleagues and renew with the program. Participation in the program leads to numerous benefits for mentors and protégés alike. These include better interpersonal relationships, greater productivity and competence, increased engagement, and reduced job-related stress. The Irish Executive Mentoring Programme, where today's professionals connect with top mentors and accelerate their careers. Get started with IEMP. It's easy. Just go to www.iemp.org.
Great. And please, at this time, give Coleman Lydon a round of applause, who has put this together and put a tremendous amount of time and effort in making sure that... And it truly will transform the diaspora. We're able to connect thousands globally and harness the power, the human capital that is out there within the Irish network. But the next and the final and the last thing I want to talk to you about is a real story of the diaspora, of a family, right? Because when you think about it, it's just a bunch of families, a bunch of people, and we all have our own unique journeys that brought us here today. And these two individuals are representatives of that Irish diaspora that we referred to. This individual, his name is Frank Dewan, there with the bell-bottom jeans. I couldn't pull those off, but they look good on him in that picture. He's from Thurles, Tipperary, born and raised in Thurles and never left. He had 5 children, one of which is named Michael Dewan. Michael Dewan is the Global Creative Director at Microsoft currently. Michael Dewan did immigrate out of Ireland and started working at Microsoft in the 90s. When it was a little company, and now he resides in London, as I mentioned, as the Global Creative Director. It was recently at an IIBN event in London by chance. The other individual is the old Michael Dewan, okay, the namesake of the current day Michael Dewan, and it's him that I want to talk to you a little bit about. He did immigrate out of Ireland. He was also obviously born in Thurles, Tipperary. This is Frank Dewan's uncle, and he immigrated to America in 1921, and that's him there. Michael Dewan was born in 1896, May 29th, 1896, many, many years ago. In 1921, he was caught and arrested and interned as he was fighting for the cause of Irish freedom. And what I consider that is fighting for the cause of Irish entrepreneurship. Sentenced to die in a place called Spike Island Prison. Eventually, he was released after a truce. And when Civil War broke out in Ireland, he left Ireland at that point because he never got in it for Irish fighting Irish. He believed the Irish culture was a culture that united people, not divided people. He soon went back to Ireland in 1921 and 1929, and on that boat ride he met a woman by the name of Nellie Strapp, who also happened to be from Tipperary, a place called Drangan, which nobody has ever heard of. They had struck up a romance, and on the way back, on that boat ride back, they continued that romance and were shortly married when they moved to New York. They had 4 daughters, like our next speaker, who also has 4 daughters, Estelle, Marie, Patricia, and Frances. It was blessed with 16 grandchildren, and he had a great life. And he was an entrepreneur in his own right. He had an auto body shop in the Bronx, where that last picture was taken, right there. Dewan's, New York. He was very proud of where he was. And he knew the power of a network. He certainly did, and his house was kind of the center of that network in the Bronx and supporting people. And that guy that's with him there, that's me. That's me. So his journey was about to end there. I was the last of the 16th grandchildren. And for as long as I can remember, I've been fascinated by the Irish culture, Irish history, and working with more Irish people. And the IIBN has afforded me that opportunity. It's been a privilege and an honor to be the chair of the New York chapter. It's a privilege and an honor to be with all of you today. I want to thank all of you for coming, but today is about all of you and about what we do here today and our shared journey together after this conference, working closer together to make sure that we have the best, the most connected, the deepest network possible to foster business opportunities within the Irish diaspora. And with that, I would like to thank you and introduce our first